Rome didn't fall because of barbarians. It fell because of something far more dangerous, and it's happening again today. Let me show you how the greatest empire in history destroyed itself with money. At its height, Rome was the richest empire the world had ever seen. 50 million people. An economy that controlled a quarter of the entire world's wealth. The Mediterranean was their personal lake. But by 476 AD, just 3 centuries later, it was gone. Historians will tell you it was barbarian invasions. They're wrong. Rome had survived barbarians for centuries. What killed Rome was their currency. And the scary part? We're making the exact same mistakes. Here's what happened. Rome's currency, the denarius, started as nearly pure silver, 95%. It was trusted everywhere from Britain to Egypt. But then the empire needed money. Lots of it. Endless wars, massive armies, a growing bureaucracy. The cost was bankrupting the empire. So Roman emperors came up with a solution. They started melting down silver coins and mixing in cheap copper and bronze. By the year 200 AD, the denarius was barely 5% silver. They'd literally diluted their currency by 95%. The result was predictable. Massive inflation. When people realized their coins were worthless, prices exploded. A measure of wheat that cost 8 denarii in the year 200 AD cost 8,000 denarii just 50 years later. That's not a typo. Prices increased over 1,000% in a single lifetime. Now, here's where it gets worse. The Roman government still needed tax revenue, but nobody wanted to pay taxes in worthless coins. So what did Rome do? They demanded taxes in actual goods, grain, livestock, gold, and they enforced it with violence. Tax collectors became the most hated people in the empire. Citizens started fleeing to the countryside to escape them. And when people fled, the tax base collapsed even further. But the worst part? Rome couldn't pay its army anymore. Soldiers refused worthless coins. They wanted real payment, land, gold, food. When they didn't get it, they mutinied. Between 235 and 284 AD, Rome had over 50 emperors in 50 years. Almost all of them were murdered by their own soldiers. The borders became undefended. And the so-called barbarian invasions? They weren't invasions. They were just people walking into an empire that had already collapsed from within. Now, you might be thinking, that was ancient Rome. We're smarter now, are we? Let me show you something. The United States dollar in 1913 could buy what you'd need $100 for today. That's a 95% loss of purchasing power. Sound familiar? It's the exact same percentage Rome debased their currency. And how did we do it? The same way. We just print more money. The U.S. national debt is now $34 trillion. That's trillion with a T. To pay for it, we do exactly what Rome did. We debase the currency by printing more. Every stimulus package, every quantitative easing, every government spending bill. It's all funded by creating money out of thin air. And just like Rome, we tell ourselves it's different this time. It's not. And here's the terrifying pattern. Rome's inflation started slowly. Just a little debasement. Just a small price increase. Then it accelerated. By the end, prices were doubling every few years. Look at the U.S. from 2020 to 2023. We experienced the highest inflation in 40 years. Prices for basic goods jumped 20 to 30% in just 3 years. The pattern is starting. And once it starts, history says it's nearly impossible to stop. Rome's currency collapse led to social breakdown. People lost faith in institutions. The middle class was destroyed. Political extremism surged. Sound familiar? We're already seeing it. The wealth gap is widening. Trust in government is at historic lows. Political divisions are deeper than they've been in generations. These aren't random problems. They're symptoms. The same symptoms Rome showed 300 years before the final collapse. But here's what history also teaches us. It's not inevitable. Rome had chances to stop. They could have maintained their currency. They could have cut spending. They could have made hard choices. They didn't. They chose the easy path. Print more, spend more, promise more, and they paid the price. We still have time, but the window is closing, and the first step is recognizing the pattern. Because those who don't learn from history, they're doomed to repeat it. In the next video, we're going to look at an even more extreme example. In 1923, Germany's economy collapsed so fast that prices doubled every 3 days. Bread cost billions, and it led directly to one of the darkest chapters in human history. Subscribe so you don't miss it, because understanding how currencies collapse, that might be the most important financial education you ever get.